Hi, my name is Southern Belle 74, and I'm going to give you the local, nation, and world news. In this news clip, it's going to talk about young child brides that are going on currently right now in Afghanistan. I'm going to give you some information, and then there's going to be a news clip that's going to follow. A 9-year-old girl with dark eyes and rosy cheeks giggles with her friends as she plays jump rope. Her name is Parwana. But her laughter soon disappears as she returns home to a small hut with dirt walls, and she is reminded that there she's soon to be sold to a stranger as a child bride. The man that wants to buy Parwana says he's 55, but to her, he's an old man with eyebrows that are thick and a white beard. She says that she worries that he will beat her and force her to work in his house. But her parents say they have no choice. For 4 years, her family has lived in Afghanistan in displacement camps, surviving on humanitarian aid and menial work for a few dollars. But life has only gotten harder as the Taliban took over power back in August. As international aid dries up and the country collapses, their economy is now in shambles, and they're unable to even afford the basic necessities. So her father decides to sell her. They recently sold their 12-year-old daughter as well. Parwana is going to be one of the young Afghan girls that are sold into marriage. Hunger has pushed families to make this heartbreaking decision, especially as the brutal winter approaches. All right, guys, there's going to be a news clip to follow, and tell me what you think about this. I just think this is horrible, and I just feel so sorry that a family has to resort to this in order to survive, sell their young kids, especially young female children, to grown adult men as child brides. The father says he feels bad, but he has no other choice if he wants to feed his family. My God. Is this what the world has come to? It just really, really makes me sad at the state of affairs. The money from Parwana's sale will sustain the family for a few months. And then the father says, well, I may have to sell another one of my daughters. So could you imagine that? He's already sold a 12-year-old daughter. Now he's selling his 9-year-old daughter. And he says if the money runs out within a couple of months, he's going to have to sell another one of his female children. Parwana hoped to change her parents' minds, and she has dreams of becoming a teacher. But she fears that once she becomes married, that she'll just stay in the home and just have babies and never be able to fulfill her dreams. The buyer handed over 200,000 Afghani forms of cash, which equates to $2,200 in the form of sheep, land, and cash. So she's pretty much been sold for $2,200. That's what it equates to in the Afghanistan currency. They describe the sale of marriage as cheap, and the family needs the money. He assures the father, the man that's going to purchase her, assures the father that he will not beat her, but she will be working in the home and he will treat her kind like a family member. At the end of this news clip, you're going to see pictures of child brides, and the age difference is mind-blowing. You're going to see these young, I think the youngest is Parwana. Parwana's the youngest. But you'll see 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds in the news clip. And look at how grown their future husbands are. 50, 60, 45. Could you even imagine that? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel as I continue to give you news that you can use. Go down in the comment section and please, guys, tell me, what do you think about this? And if you are a parent and your back was pushed up against a wall, would you resort to this kind of action just to survive?
We're back with our world lead now and a distressing story out of Afghanistan showing the harsh reality of the humanitarian crisis engulfing the country, especially post-Taliban rule. Desperate families so impoverished, they tell CNN they have no choice but to sell their young daughters into some twisted form of marriage. In this exclusive report, CNN witnesses the tragic fate facing these helpless little girls in this culture where girls and women are too often treated horrifically. The parents gave us full access and permission to talk to the children and show their faces because they say they cannot change the practice themselves. CNN's Anna Corin reports.
In this arid, desolate landscape, not a scrap of vegetation in sight, lies a makeshift camp for some of Afghanistan's internally displaced. Among its residents, 9-year-old Parwana. Her bright pink dress squeals of laughter and childhood games, a ruse to the horrors unfolding in this unhospitable environment. Parwana's family moved to this camp in Baghdis province 4 years ago after her father lost his job. Humanitarian aid and menial work, earning $3 a day, providing the basic staples to survive. But since the Taliban takeover 2.5 months ago, any money or assistance has dried up. And with 8 mouths to feed, Parwana's father is now doing the unthinkable. I have no work, no money, no food. I have to sell my daughter, he says. I have no other choice. Parwana, who dreams of going to school and becoming a teacher, applies makeup. A favourite pastime for little girls, but Parwana knows she is preparing for what awaits her. My father has sold me because we don't have bread, rice and flour. He has sold me to an old man. The white-bearded man who claims he's 55 years old comes to collect her. He's bought Parwana for 200,000 Afghanis, just over $2,000 US. Covered up, Parwana whimpers as her mother holds her. This is your bride, please take care of her, says Parwana's father. Of course I will take care of her, replies the man. His large hands grab her small frame. Parwana tries to pull away. As he carries her only bag of belongings, she again resists, digging her heels into the dirt. But it's futile. The fate of this small, helpless child has been sealed. Child marriage is nothing new in poor rural parts of Afghanistan. But human rights activists are reporting an increase in cases because of the economic and humanitarian crisis engulfing the country.
These are devastating decisions that no parent should ever have to make, and it really speaks to what an extraordinary breakdown is happening in Afghanistan right now.
For months, the UN has been warning of a catastrophe as Afghanistan, a war-ravaged, aid-dependent country, descends into a brutal winter. Billions of dollars in central bank assets were frozen after the Taliban swept to power in August. Banks are running out of money, wages haven't been paid for months, while food prices soar. According to the UN, more than half the population doesn't know where their next meal is coming from. And more than 3 million children under the age of 5 face acute malnutrition in the coming months.
People of Afghanistan need a lifeline.
And while $1 billion has been pledged by UN donors to help the Afghan people, less than half those funds have been received as the international community holds off recognising the Taliban government.
People of Afghanistan will be dying of hunger in the next couple of months, and not just a few. This is just making people more and more vulnerable, and we cannot accept that.
Sentiments shared by the Taliban.
We are asking aid agencies to come back to Afghanistan and help these poor people. Otherwise, the crisis will worsen.
For this family in neighbouring Ghor province, they are trying to sell 2 daughters, 9-year-old Litan and 4-year-old Zeton, for $1,000 US each. Do you know why they're selling you? The journalist asked Zeton. Because we are a poor family and don't have any food to eat, she says. Are you scared, he asks. Yes, I am. Another family in Gore province borrowed money from their 70-year-old neighbour. Now he's demanding it back, but they have nothing to give, except their 10-year-old daughter, Magul. My daughter doesn't want to go and is crying all the time. I am so ashamed, he says. Terrified, she threatens to take her life. If they push me to marry the old man, I will kill myself. I don't want to leave my parents. Days later, she discovers the sale has been finalised. Another Afghan child sold into a life of misery. Jake, it is just gut-wrenching knowing what these young girls will be subjected to, and just an update on young Magul, the last girl in our story there. She will be handed over to the 70-year-old man in the coming days. It's just a tragic fate that awaits this young girl. Now, if the aid situation is not addressed urgently, the UN projects, Jake, that by the middle of next year, 97% of Afghans will be living below the poverty line, not meaning that hunger and starvation will be facing these people alone, but that other girls will end up like Magul and Parwana. Jake.
Yeah, there's such a horrible story. It's so tough to watch. You know that this happened, this tradition, this awful thing was predated the Taliban taking over again. But how has the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan earlier this year made it worse? How has it exacerbated this problem of families selling their daughters?
Look, absolutely. You're absolutely right. This has been around for forever. However, from the local journalists that we've been speaking to and working with, they say that once upon a time it was behind closed doors. Now it is out in the open. The international community is obviously refusing to recognise the Taliban as the official government, and as a result they are freezing billions of dollars in reserves that would, otherwise go to the people of Afghanistan. They're doing this to try and hold the Taliban to account, especially on their record regarding human rights of women and of young girls. But by punishing the Taliban, it means that money is not getting to Afghans most vulnerable, which obviously includes the girls in our piece, Jake.
Really tough to watch. Anna Corin, thank you so much for that important story.